Hello everyone, this is Youjo Senki speaking. Haha, you probably thought I was done with this segment, and in fact, you would be wrong. There has been a lot going on in the background in order to make this video possible. To those of you who are not familiar with what's going on, this is a segment I decided to make which is dedicated to discussing anime that came out in the winter 2017 season. And as I've said, I'm sorry I wasn't able to make more specific videos because I've been busy moving into a new house. But I've made it a point to at least have this particular video come to fruition. You might be confused with what I mean by the title of this video. Let me explain. Over the past month, I have selected a number of anime I wanted to at least check out, and as of now, for all of those selected anime, I have completed up to the 3rd episode, and 3 episodes is the limit I choose as an indication of whether or not I should continue watching a particular series. And that's basically what I want to do with this video, to reveal what I think about these anime thus far and how I'm gonna go about with it. As for how this is going to work, I have separated these anime into several categories, and I'll give more details as we move along. Lastly, as always, please remember that these are all based on my personal opinion, so do let me know what you think about it. And with all that said, let's keep the ball rolling. The first category we have is the drop list. These are anime which even from the first 3 episodes, I could not bear to watch them. And I don't care how little left there is, I am dropping these anime. And let's see if any of them made it to the list. Well, apparently none of them. That is really good to know. Looks like this season isn't so bad. But these anime aren't saved just yet. The next category is on hold, which can also be called low-level anticipation. This category is for anime that I can't really say I'm giving up on them, but at the same time, I don't really see them being anything great. Plus, due to time constraints, I'm gonna have to sacrifice some that I've selected, and the results are... Ooh, that's gotta hurt. So we have a total of 7 in this list, and let's start off with the most obvious one, Kemono Friends. Really, I picked this one out of obligation to try out as many anime as possible, but from the very beginning, I knew this anime was not meant for me. It is very obvious that this anime is geared towards children. It is an educational type of anime to teach kids about animals, which have been portrayed as cosplaying females for some reason, and I swear the budget for this anime must have been really lacking because the animation here is pretty poorly done despite the use of 3D. But I can't really say that this is a bad anime, mainly because it is doing its job right. Plus, it's only going to be 12 episodes long, so I might as well just eventually finish it off. Next up is Handshakers. I was really looking forward to this, mainly because of the studio in charge, Studio Go Hands. I don't normally hear about this studio, but their one anime, Sekai Yakuin Domo, was actually rather enjoyable, and I wanted to see what they have in store here. But I have to say, I was incredibly disappointed. The first episode was very misleading because many of the problems I had with it, such as the trippy camera pans and female sexual moans, were all absent later on. But then, as some problems vanish, others arise. All of the action scenes that we saw in episode 1 were so sidelined that I almost forgot that actually happened. Plus, the dialogue between characters. Oh my god. Who the hell wrote this? It was boring as hell, especially later on when these 2 other handshakers appeared. That was a disaster. So really, this is probably one of my least favorite from this season thus far. While it may be too early to give a bad label for this anime, time's up for now. This will have to wait. Next, we unfortunately have JC staff falling into this category with 2 accounts. But like I said, with them handling so many anime, there are bound to be hiccups. Let's start off with my lesser preference of the 2, Minami Kamakura Koukou Joshi Jitensha-bu, or Jitensha-bu as I like to call it. This anime was promoted as a sports anime about cycling, so I was curious as to how they were going to make it happen. But let me just say, this anime was so boring. Sure, they focus on cycling and the characters engaged in it, but what has been shown thus far is very basic stuff. So maybe this anime could pass as a simple casual anime series. The problem is that this anime is so heavily focused on cycling that there really isn't anything else that can compensate for its lack in detail. And for an anime titled Jitensha-bu or Bicycle Club, it took 3 episodes for there to even be such a club. By then I'm like, okay, okay, let's get this moving, people. Sure, the anime has finally started to get moving, but again, it's a bit too late. Then we have Schoolgirl Striker's animation channel. Unlike Jitensha-bu, this one was already getting things going from the first episode. The animation in this was actually pretty well done, and to my surprise, this anime does not overuse fan service as much as I thought it would. So yeah, good job on that part. However, while this anime is quick to start, it is lacking in world building. We don't really know much about why all of this is happening. We don't know much about the characters, and even the execution on Tsubame's backstory was not handled the best way possible. And once again, when the characters are not engaged in battle, the activities and conversations they do are not very interesting to watch. That's one thing this anime needs to look out for. Schoolgirl Strikers was close to end up in my watch list, but I feel like there are others from this season that looked more promising. The next two are anime about music. First off, we have Idol Jihen, done by MAPPA, which also did Sakamichi no Apollon, another anime centered on music. So is this the studio's specialty or something? As you might have expected, this anime more specifically focuses on idols. What you might not have expected is that this anime also focuses on politics. And yeah, let's just say mixing these two themes isn't really a good idea. Obvious problem number one, the idols/political candidates face rivalry with the Rogai party. So how do the idols get the upper hand? Why, by singing, of course. Singing that is so powerful that the opposition just flips a 180, which leads to obvious problem number two. If that's the case, then why don't the idols just perform more often? I'm sure soon enough the Rogai party would be non-existent. And lastly, problem number three. They try to come up with the whole dilemma of Shizuka being overly talented and her aura just crushes other idols' dreams. So basically, they are trying to be like Sakuraso no Pet Nakanajo. But let's face it, it's all bullshit. I don't buy any of these three concepts they have going for because it all contradicts each other and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And if this is an idol anime, where's all the singing? Along with that, we have a band anime called Band Dream. An enthusiastic Toyama Kasumi wants to start a band after being inspired by a live concert. This anime definitely seems more logical, but that is not to say it is without problems. First of all, while it is nice to see that Kasumi has found her passion, her over-enthusiasm seemed kinda unnatural and in a way kinda annoying. The fact that the first few episodes is of her bugging the heck out of the same few individuals to form a band makes me feel sorry for those individuals. And for simplification purposes, I'll compare this to K-On! One thing that K-On! Has that Band Dream doesn't at this point is how it is able to make activities totally unrelated to bands seem fun to watch. So it is no excuse for Band Dream to not at least show something interesting whilst the band has yet to form. I will say this though, that whole scene of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was quite the idea. Kasumi's sure got some guts to do that. And last to appear on this list, elDLIVE. This one doesn't really have any big problems just yet, and anything can happen. But I do feel concerned. For one, the anime's art style and animation is very basic for 2017, looking like it should be something from the mid-2000s. And when you have that mixed with weird-looking characters, alarm bells just go off. Also, the rationale behind Chuta's antisocial behavior is really poorly done. Scenes like when his aunt got injured was very unconvincing. Just was a way of forcing drama for the sake of it. And lastly, Misuzu's pure disgust for Chuta seems so forced at this point. But even so, this anime still seems decent. However, I'm not keeping my hopes up. It's Studio Pierrot we're talking about. For them to fuck up their most successful series, Tokyo Ghoul, that's saying something, don't you think? And now, the next few categories are for shows that I will continue to watch. However, I have decided to further divide them based on how much I enjoyed them and the potential they have. So first up, we have anime of mid-level anticipation. As of now, I'm not looking forward to them as much as some others, but I feel like I should at least give them a chance. And please note, because of time constraints, I might not finish some of these, and the results are... Let's begin with the one that many people might consider my opinions rather controversial. When I saw the first episode of Fuuka, I didn't have the nicest things to say about it. It was chock full of cliches and the kinds that I didn't like for that matter. However, I did point out that Fuuka was an interesting character and she still was by the end of episode 3. On the contrary, the main male character, Yu, wasn't really to my liking, and after 3 episodes, Yeah, I still don't like him, but the anime is getting interesting nonetheless. With Koyuki and Fuuka finally meeting each other, I am curious to find out how this love triangle will turn out, and if nothing else, I can at least praise the anime for its vivid art style. Sorry fans, at this point I still don't see what's so good about this anime, but we'll see. Well, it looks like JC Staff has something up their sleeves after all. Urara Meirochou turned out to be what I expected, a cute moe anime. The first episode did make me feel a bit worried about this anime because of its overuse of fan service. However, moving along, I started to feel more optimistic about it. Urara Meirochou does have heart and soul to it, and it does get pretty emotional sometimes, and because of that, it created chances for characters to bond, and I'm so glad we get to know more about these characters. However, I still don't feel like the anime has shown anything really special that it could bring something new into the genre it's in. But regardless, I'm still looking forward to this. It's a casual anime series after all. Going back to the very first to air in winter 2017, Akiba Strip the animation somehow managed to make it to my watch list, but there are obvious reasons for that. Despite how I feel that the concept of the anime is totally ridiculous, it's actually quite fun to watch. I like how the anime gets right down to the nitty-gritty details of the anime's lore, and because of that, I can confidently say that I understand the concept of this video game adapted anime more than Schoolgirl Strikers. Plus, the animation here is actually one of the standouts from this season. However, it doesn't change the fact that this anime is still quite ridiculous, and really, it's all for the purposes of fan service. But hey, whatever, it's still fun to watch. Now we have the first one from this list that I haven't discussed about. Kobayashi-san no Maid Dragon is this season's entry by Kyoto Animation. One thing that I was really surprised about was their Nichijou type art style, which I didn't think I would be seeing it again. As it turns out, the anime was pretty hilarious, and as expected, the animation was great. However, I have some questions. Why is Kyoto Animation relying so much on fan service recently? The same thing happened with last year's Myriad Colors Phantom World, which is odd because Kyoto Animation is probably the last studio I would expect to do that. Also, about the dragons, what are the rules here? How is nobody noticing these huge ass creatures? I need answers. But of course, I'm still giving this a chance. I'm trusting Kyoto Animation on this. Seiren is next to make it to the list, and you might be surprised to see this here because I was really looking forward to this anime as it reminded me so much of Amagami SS. And yes, it is very similar. However, I just don't feel like the execution is as good. For its first arc, I am not convinced that the two main characters, Shoichi and Hikari, have displayed sufficient intimacy to be as close as they were. And also, Shoichi just doesn't seem like a very interesting character. He lacks all the cool and gentleman-like characteristics that Junichi of Amagami SS has. But still, it's similar to Amagami SS, and I am really hoping the anime can prove me wrong. Next we have Chaos Child, the proclaimed sequel to the 2008 Chaos Head. I did state that I was actually looking forward to this and leave its prequel aside, but they had to go about and do a recap for Chaos Head. Yeah, thanks very much for reminding me of that piece of shit. But I can definitely say that so far, I enjoy Chaos Child more than Chaos Head. Instead of diving straight into the middle of all the chaos, boom, that was great. This anime focuses on the investigation side of things. So instead of being bombarded by information that we are forced to accept, as in Chaos Head, we actually get to analyze the events that happen in a logical sense. And so far, that has been the case, and it's quite a relief. But even so, I'm not going to expect too much, because in the end, it's still a sequel to Chaos Head, and I freaking hated Chaos Head. Let's just hope Silverlink can do something to save this franchise. Here's a unique entry, Spiritpact. What surprised me was that this was actually a Chinese anime that already existed called Soul Contract or Ling Qi. You can tell from the opening, which is actually in Mandarin. Holy crap, that was amazing. This was just a Japanese redubbing of the series with some minor changes to it. When I found out about that though, I was a bit worried because of some other Chinese anime. But to my surprise, this one was actually pretty enjoyable. Sure, it likes to goof around and it sometimes doesn't seem like it's being serious, but it does stick to the point and it has a pretty good setup. Plus, the characters are just fun to watch. I don't know anything about this anime, so I'm not gonna expect anything much from it, but at least give it a shot. Finally, we have Onihei. This is probably the closest one to end up as being highly anticipated. I love the whole past Japanese setting with samurais and the buildings. The anime captures the whole essence just right. I also like the focus on this one guy named Hasegawa Heizo, who is titled Onihei, as he is feared by criminals. It definitely has that whole Rurouni Kenshin vibe to it, but I do have problems with it. For one, the villains in this anime just come off as stupid and lame, and it's hard to think of them as real threats to the main characters. Also, there is still too little swordplay for an anime about samurais. These aren't really major issues, but then again, the studio handling this is M2, which is one that I've never heard of, so I'm not going to keep my expectations too high, but I'm praying for the best. And now we move on to the next category, anime of high level anticipation. These are the ones I found few issues with them, and that I personally enjoy and think that they have true potential. And the results are... We have the second air anime of winter 2017, Masamune-kun No Revenge. This anime actually surprised me in many aspects. For one, its use of fan service was very reasonable in contrast to what I initially thought based on its poster. I am also enjoying the relationship between Masamune and Aki. I think it's absolutely hilarious and adorable, and I want to see how things turn out. Plus, the concept of the anime itself is very unique. One guy trying to get back at a girl who rejected him in the past. That's a brilliant setup for unaccounted mishaps waiting to happen, and I have faith that Silverlink, along with its beautiful animation, that they can pull something off this. And of course, Doga Kobo appears. I swear, this studio is taking over my watch list for this season is for the anime Gabriel Dropout. And let me start by saying that this is hands down the funniest thing I have seen from this season. It is just Doga Kobo doing what they do best. Comedy. To give a perspective of this anime, let's compare it to the studio's other work, Himoto Umaru-chan. Both the main characters are being portrayed as good, well-rounded girls that have a different side to them. The big difference is that while Umaru is a good, well-rounded girl, Gabriel was. Emphasis on was. And so you can kinda guess, shit happens. Although I must say that I feel kinda sad that Gabriel has degraded to such a state. She was such a good girl, but whatever, it's still funny as hell. Also, Vinette is just so freaking cute! Up next is Demi-chan Wa Kataritai. This is one anime that caught me completely by surprise. As I've said, if you look at the setting alone, the anime can be summed up as a combination of Monster Musume no Iru Nichijo and Rosario plus Vampire, both of which I didn't really like, but that's pretty much it, because this anime is way better. The thing I like the most about the anime is the detailed focus on the monster girls, and we actually get to learn more about what they are like. That's something you would never find in Monster Musume. Not only that, the anime's identity as an ecchi harem anime, which I thought it would be, was completely false. This anime has little to no emphasis on fan service, but instead shows signs of the characters developing pure and sweet romance, and that to me is a massive relief, and I cannot praise this anime enough. This is definitely one of my favorites from this season. Next to appear is Youjo Senki. This was one anime that I had little idea about what was going on based on the first episode, but following that, it just became crystal clear. A Japanese businessman who was killed but resurrected by God into a harsh environment because of his disbelief in him? That's freaking sick, dude! Oh jeez, what the hell happened there? This anime was really intriguing as we see how the man now resurrected as a girl named Tanya adapts in this new environment. It was heart-pumping and intense, and it really feels like anything could happen to anyone at any time. And again, God or being X has to interfere and make things complicated for Tanya. But what is this anime to dictate what we believe in? Fuck you, anime, God ain't real.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Almost completely opposite of Youjo Senki is the Madhouse entry ACCA, 13-ku Kansatsu-ka. ACCA is a peaceful nation comprising of 13 districts which function autonomously, and to keep the peace, we have the inspection department. What I really like about this anime is despite how very little seems to be going on screen, I can't help but feel like there is a lot more going on in the background. There may be internal discussions and dealings that may pose a threat to the nation, and it is convincing of the peace in the nation with its laid-back citizens and a lot of emphasis on food for some reason. Although I must say that I am surprised with the lack of animation in this anime, but I'm sure Madhouse will do just fine here. Let's just hope they don't leave this series hanging as well. Moving on, we have Chain Chronicles Haecceitas no Hikari. This one can be said to have come out of nowhere because I have not made mention of this anime at all up to this point. This is an anime with a very medieval setting with knights and royalty and magic, you get the idea. So it would be hard to think that I highly anticipate this, but the first 3 episodes have been really exciting to watch. The animation done by Telecom Animation Film and Graphinica, both of which I've never heard of, was actually really good, and that helps with the battle scenes which looked awesome. And with the characters planning their next move against the Black King, I want to see what comes about all of this. Although I really do hope they give us more backstory of what had happened, because there are some things I'm quite confused about. Totally making fun of an anime like Chain Chronicles is Kono Subarashii Sekai ni Shukufuku wo 2, or Konosuba Season 2 for short. And surprise surprise, because I did say that I was not going to watch this, but the thing is, I was finally compelled to watch Season 1, which I finished just a few weeks ago, and I'll explain why next time. In actual fact, I was not expecting this to make it into this category. That's because I found Season 1 to be pretty lackluster, and I felt like the anime hasn't reached its full potential. But from the 3 episodes of Season 2 alone, my mindset has shifted tremendously. Many of the issues I had with Season 1 were actually addressed. The comedy was handled much better, the activities the characters did were more interesting, and most importantly, the anime actually showcased some form of adventure and exploration as shown in episode 3. That is really relieving to see, and I'm hoping Studio Dean can keep this up so that I can be convinced with this anime's praise. And lastly, of course, we can't forget about Little Witch Academia. 3 episodes in and it is still as amazing as when I first saw it. Once again, a major factor for this is the animation. A superb job by Trigger, and definitely the best of the season. The main character Akko is such a jolly ball of fun, and her passion to become an outstanding witch is all so inspirational that it makes you want to root for this character. And lastly, this anime's universe looks so interesting, and I want to learn and explore more of it. What more should I say? This is one of my most anticipated anime of the season, and I cannot wait to see more. But wait, there's one more! Highest anticipation. Yes, there is one more anime which I am looking forward to more than any other from winter 2017. And you might be saying, what? It's not Little Witch Academia? That's right, there happens to be one more anime I liked more than Little Witch Academia. And that anime is... Kuzu no Honkai. And can I say that I was surprised with this outcome? More so, I would have to say yes. While I did put faith in elDLIVE to show me something good, I did not expect myself to like anything more than Little Witch Academia. But this anime is just freaking incredible. A girl and a boy whose crushes happen to like each other, and because of that, the boy and girl form a relationship instead. That is a really unique setting that I have never seen before. Not only that, the atmosphere of the anime was done excellently. There is this solemn tone to it, and pure emotions, just raw and pure emotions are being laid out. The feelings the characters have for another are so convincing, and it just makes it all the more beautiful. Plus, this anime does not hold back. Keep in mind that it is really NSFW, but that's one thing good about it too. The characters are not afraid to express their true feelings. Too often do characters just beat around the bush and no progress is being made. But here, oh my goodness, so much has happened that I don't even know where to begin. And again, I want to root for these characters and hope that they achieve their goal. And so elDLIVE, good on you, and I am expecting good things from this anime. And there you have it. That was the summary of what I think about the winter 2017 season after watching 3 episodes of these selected anime. And this video turned out shorter than I expected because I originally thought it was going to be at least 30 minutes long. So that's a relief, I guess. But in any case, I'll leave you guys to it because this video is long enough. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and do stay tuned to the next time of whatever I make. Until next time, bye!